So when you talk about the bone, it is simply a living tissue which is made up of collagen fibers, right? So this bone is made up of living tissues which are also having collagen fibers in a matrix of calcium phosphate and magnesium salts. So the living tissues or the living cells occurs in structure that we call the lacunae or the lacuna. So the matrix is laid up in several concentric rings that forms the Haversian system. The lacunae are linked to each other by channels of cytoplasm known as the canaliculi or the cana iwe. You left out a here. So that is the canaliculi or the canaliculus. All right. The central space of the Haversian system is called the Haversian canal, and this contains blood vessels, nerves, and lymphatic vessels. A transverse extension from the Haversian canal is called the Volkmann canal, which helps to link it to the bone marrow. So the long bone of a vertebrate have spongy bone that has got compact bones at the end of the shaft. So we can have a simple example here. So here is our bone, and this bone is containing cartilage, is containing the spongy bone, and this spongy bone is containing the red marrow or the red bone marrow, and then we have the compact bone, and then we have the bone marrow cavity here, which is containing the yellow bone marrow, and then this entire region is called the head or the epiphysis, and then this entire region going down from the head up to this side is known as the shaft or the diaphysis. Then we move on. So when we talk about the compact bone, so the compact bone is made up of a Haversian system which is grouped together. So the following diagram is going to illustrate to us the Haversian system in compact bone. So here we have our Haversian canal, and then finally we have our artery which is being extended there, and then this one is our vein, and then this one here is our lymphatic vessel, and then this region which we have here is the Volkmann canal, and this is the canaliculi, and that is our lacuna. All right, this looks a little bit advanced. I think you do it more in detail in your A levels. So let's move on to the human skeleton. So when we talk about the human skeleton, it is divided into two major regions. Number one, the human skeleton is divided into the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. So these are the regions for the human skeleton. So the axial skeleton is made up of the skull, the vertebral column, the spine, the ribs, and the sternum, while the appendicular skeleton is made up of the limbs and the girdles. All right, so there are two types of limbs. We have the forelimbs, which is the arms, and then we have the two hind limbs, which are the legs. All right, so when you talk about your axial skeleton, so it is coming, all this entire region is making up your axial skeleton. And when you talk about this region consisting of your sternum, consisting of your upper limb and the lower limb there, all this is making up your appendicular skeleton. So now what we need to know is that there are also two forelimbs, which are the arms, and two hind limbs, which are the legs. So the girdles from the link forms the link between the axial and the limbs. There are two girdles, which are the pectoral girdle and the pelvic girdle. When we talk about the pectoral girdle, this one is going to link the limbs to the axial skeleton. It is made up of shoulder blades, which are the bones, the scapula. So when we talk about the scapula, it is that tiny bone which we find behind there. For me, I consider it to be the S bone. We'll look at more into detail. So this is our scapula. This is the bone of the scapula, and this is our clavicle, and this is our humerus, and then finally we have our ulnar bone, which is here, and then we have our radius, and then we can talk about the carpals, and then the ones that are found in this region are the metacarpals, and the ones that are found in these our digital fingers are the phalanges. All right, so when we talk about the lower limb, we have our femur, when we have our patella, which is found there, we have our tibia, and then we have our fibula there. Let's now talk about the bones of the spine. So when we talk about the bones of the spine, this is what makes up the vertebral column. All right, so this vertebral column, remember, has got 33 bones. All right, we have 7 in the cervical. So when we talk about our bones of the spine, we are saying we have 7 in our neck region. So these 7 are what are making up the cervical region or the cervical vertebrae. And then in the chest region, we have the thoracic vertebrae, which is made up of 12 number of bones. And then we have the lumbar region, which is the abdominal or your loin region, which is made up of 5, and then we have the sacral vertebrae, which is your hip region, consisting of 5, and then we also have the caudal or the coccygeal or the coccyx, right? Not coccygeal, but coccyx, or the tail region. This one is made up of 4. So when we talk about the generalized structures of the bones that are found in our spine. So these are the generalized structures. We have our neurospine, we have our neural arc, and then we have our neural canal, we have our transverse process, and then we have our centrum or the vertebral body. All right, then here are our bones. Or the structures of some of the types of vertebrae. We have this one, which looks like this. This one is our lumbar vertebra, which usually has this large space which is there. So that is our lumbar vertebra. And then we come to this one, which is looking like this. This one is our cervical vertebra. And then the one which is like this, all right, having that kind of a spinous process. So this one is the thoracic vertebra, and then the one which looks like this is our sacral vertebra. So now when we talk about these different functions of the parts that we have mentioned, we have the neurospine. This one is the one that is responsible for projection on top of the neural arc and provides surface for the attachment of muscles and ligaments. All this is being done by the structure which we call the neurospine. Helps to provide attachment for the helps to provide surface for the attachment of muscles. All right, then we have another part which is the neural arc. So when we talk about the neural arc, it is this structure which we have here. So our neural arc, what is the function of this neural arc? The neural arc is the one that is curved, arising from the centrum, and has an opening that we call the neural canal. So the neural arc helps to protect the spinal cord, while the neural canal is the passage for the spinal cord. Then we talk about the transverse process. This transverse process helps in projection on the sides of the centrum and provides surface for attachment of muscles and ligaments. Then finally, we have the centrum. So the centrum is a solid central part of the vertebra whose function is to bind up the intervertebral disc and form a cartilaginous joint with the next vertebra. So these are the functions of the vertebral column. Number 1, protection of the spinal cord from mechanical damage. Number 2, providing attachment for ribs and girdles. Number 3, supporting the body trunk. Number 4, imparting flexibility to the body trunk due to the presence of the cartilaginous joints. So these are the functions of the different parts of the bones that are found in the spine. So this marks the end of our lesson on the skeleton. Just remember to say our skeleton usually has we have 3 types of skeleton. We have the axioskeleton and the appendicular skeleton, right? The regions of the skeleton, we have the axio and the appendicular. Then for the types, we have the endo, exo, and the hydrostatic skeleton. Then you also need to know each one of these bones in detail so that you can be able to identify in your past paper questions once you are asked. Otherwise, Have a blessed evening.